What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi. And I want to say, while you're seeing me now, Happy New Year to everybody. I wanted to, it was important to me to try to see you in some form before the first month of this year is out. And I wanted to speak. I've been wanting to speak, but I haven't had time. And when I've had time, I'm tired. I couldn't do anything on Friday because I figure everybody on Earth, except for me, was watching the Janet Jackson documentary. I don't have cable, so that was going to be it for me. And so I thought, well, Saturday, but then it's a 2-night thing, so forget Saturday, you can't do it. So just wait till Sunday, you know. But I started piddling around today online, and I feel like I found more than one, but I only ended up using one. It was one of those sites where you do like a 7-day free trial, and I wasn't really going to do it because sometimes you can't find how to cancel those, like if you really don't want the subscription, you know. But this one seemed to be like it was on the up and up, so I was like, okay, let me see if I can. And it wasn't asking a whole bunch of information, so I just was able to put my stuff in, and poof, there it was. So as fate would have it, I did see the documentary, and I thought I would use this as an opportunity to just tell you about tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm gonna try something that's been on my mind for the last couple weeks at least. I even mentioned it to my nephew about trying to be live on Facebook and this channel and Jedi Africa all at the same time. I think I have the capability to do it. We're going to try it. At the very least, we will be live on Jedi Africa because I need to give you the latest on my jihad, we'll call it, of trying to get to Ghana. Those of you who follow me on Jedi Africa, you know, but there's more that we need to talk about, and I'm excited to be able to be with you, God willing, tomorrow. I was gonna just be live here tonight because I thought, well, why not be live? Because it's late. But when I finish, it's gonna be a recorded video anyway. So whoever's not up for the live, they wouldn't be up for recorded. So it's the same difference. So I don't know. I think I just didn't want the commitment of being live right now, because when you're live, then you have to, it's not just my info, it's just not what I'm bringing, you know. Then I have to respond to you, and that's the only reason why I do live streams. But I don't want to do it tonight, because then we'll be here really late into probably the morning hours, and then probably tomorrow's live stream won't happen. So I think this is wiser. Even though I set up my webcam to do a live stream potentially, you know. Anyway, such is life. And I don't want to make this long. As I say, I just wanted to use this really as an opportunity to be able to let my people know to be checking for me tomorrow for a live stream. I'm always hesitant here because, as I say, I set up Jedi Africa specifically for the reasons I've told you, and I'm gonna stick to that. You know, like, if you don't know about my other channel, Jedi Africa, it's not the Looky Loo channel. You know, if you want a Looky Loo over here, that's fine. But I set up that channel for the serious and my supporters, and I believe for those who probably will then take that next step at some point and either make a trip to Africa, if it's not even to Ghana, they'll make a trip or they'll be moving there too, you know. So I think I'm going to stick to that. You know, I haven't heard anything that would make me reconsider that, you know. Um, so I also didn't want to speak about anything that's going to stress me out. Um, I'm sure I will at some point, but I just don't want to speak about anything that stresses me out right now. So I didn't follow up on the Jason Walker thing, and there was some other pieces that I did before that. Um, I'm worn down, y'all. I'm worn down, and as I've said to you many times, you know, if we're not gonna do anything about our condition, then I'll talk about it when I feel like it, you know. But back when I was trying to start the Black Independence Liberation League, you know, that was for awareness, education. Now we know. Now what we're gonna do? Let's get organized, etc., etc. And those of you who have been with me, you know how that went, and how long I tried. I saw an old video of mine the other day, and somewhere in the video, I mentioned, I said, you guys, it was at the time when I was trying to get everybody to move from the first Jedi channel to Black Junction and to the Jedi Revolution. No, to Jedi Revolution and this Jedi channel. And I mentioned in the video that there was 8,000 people that only 8,000 people had gone over to Jedi Revolution. I was never sure about the number on Jedi Revolution, but there it was 8,000 plus. But anyways, why did I mention that? I won't know that until I watch this back. But anyway, so we all know how that went, you know, as far as that. So I just will deal with those things when I feel like it, or, you know, if somebody's, and I can't even guarantee this next statement, but just if somebody's really, if I have enough people that are passionate enough about something or something like that, like I'm just kind of in a vortex with that. You know, it's part of my provocation for even leaving this country. I'm sick and tired of white people and their bullshit. Like, you know, so I'm trying to focus my energies on leaving here, and, you know, as little to no of none of my energy of you know, bitching about it, because it's going to be that way. It's not going to change until you decide to do something different. That's been one of my themes over the years. I've said that to you a million times. You know, we're the ones we're waiting on, and if we're not going to do something, then everything that's ever happened to us will continue. You understand? Because as long as white people exist, there are problems. Even in tonight's documentary, with Janet, you know, again, you can't have an African story and have white people in it without there being problems. That's just a fact. That's a fact. If they exist, there are problems. And this was no different. At one point in her documentary, she mentioned how when they first came from Gary, Indiana to California, and this is now the first time she's called the N-word going down the street or at school, and white people come up trying to touch her hair and all that. She didn't specifically say white people, but nobody else on earth does it except for them. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it doesn't matter. As long as they exist, there are problems specifically for us. That's what's real. So, my passions, obviously, you can see will never change. That's part of my frustration, um, because I'm very passionate about the condition of our people and um, and our lack of action. Like I'm just over all of it. You know, I'm over it. Um, and perhaps I'll get into those things, when I speak tomorrow. But for now, I wanted to just um, keep this on this documentary that was done by Lifetime and share my thoughts and observations, um, and to try to let as many of my people who are interested and who are serious know that I intend to be live over on Jedi Africa tomorrow. Um, but my passions are in everything that I am or anything I'm ever gonna do or witness or be a part of or speak or say. It can't not be, my eyes are open wide. And when your eyes are open since you were a child, you don't just close them. If anything, they just get bigger, you know. Um, so anyway, um, Janet Jackson. First of all, just the fact that it was on Lifetime and A&E was upsetting. You um, that's upsetting, and it was even more upsetting as the thing went on. Especially by the time you get to the end where they're dealing with her being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Finally, even though she'd been eligible for 10 years, and um, and I just thought the same demons, because they're the same demons. It's the same ones. It's the same ones. The same demons who tried to make a big spectacle, who demonized her brother and are still trying to demonize him, are the same demons who tried to make a spectacle out of what was an accident at the Super Bowl, whenever it was. And they're the same demons that were deliberately keeping her out of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Not that we should want to even be in their Hall of Fame. Like, they decide what's great when all entertainment comes from us, and the world would be boring without us on it, and they would have absolutely no talent to emulate or try to imitate have failed imitations of if we didn't exist. And these are the people, like, they should be seeking awards from us, not from them, not the other way around. Like, it was just, I can't. But anyway, there it was on Lifetime and A&E, and it did not deliver. And I thought it would probably be more hype than substance. Um, those of you guys who know me know that Janet Jackson is my wife, and I will fight you. But I'm always brutally honest when it comes to my wife. Brutally honest. Like, if you love anything or anyone, then you don't just see roses and heart emojis in that. You have to call whatever it is, good or bad. That's true love. you know. And it's one of the many elements of true love. There are many, 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 many elements to love. It shouldn't even be shortened to that. It should be a phrase, not a word. But anyway, the first 2 hours, I thought there was really nothing there. And especially for somebody who knows Janet, and I don't even think I'd be at my level. I think if you just been paying attention to her, she's that famous. Certain things you would just know, potentially. Okay, there was a few photos that we hadn't seen, and things like that. But other than that, it was really nothing like, oh my God, Janet's gonna really let us have it, and we're gonna know so much stuff. And it wasn't a nail biter, and it didn't keep you clinging to the screen, indeed, I thought that she did what she has done and a lot over the decades, you know. Here's your big documentary, and then she sits up there, and her whole thing is this new thing with her in the last several years is this sort of, I have a cold, you know. So there's this real nasal and the watery eyes and the overly whispering, um, and looked like she didn't really take time to put herself together, you know. And then the Springer Spoodle hair, it just wasn't her best look for me. Um, and I think that probably some of that came from what she said about Renee. I'm going to talk about that, but I'm just trying to give you my intro right now, and then we'll talk. Um, in that first 2 hours, I think the only thing that really came out of that was eyebrow raising was when she was in the hotel room with Michael and they were coming up with the words to Scream, or they were talking about this, you know, yeah, they were going over some of the lyrics for Scream. I love that for several reasons, you know. First, let me say this before I say that. It was also interesting for me to watch this because Janet has sat right in front of me and sang to me. I told you guys about this. Um, so there's that connection. Like literally, she was like, I need somebody to sing this song to you guys. That she was going to sing Let's Wait a While. And I was in the front row because of Renee Elizondo. So there was a lot of connections for me in this piece. I knew people and had um, an experience to this that a lot of people don't have. I'll say it that way. You know, by that I mean, like for instance, I said Janet sang "Let's Wait a While" to me, and she sat right on the stage in front of me. I was in the front row, and she was singing it to me, and I'm singing the song, and it was she's her attention was totally on me. That's it. And um, and how I was there is because I had met Renee Elizondo, her boyfriend slash husband, um, and I only got to where I got with him because I knew Tina Landon. So it starts to, you know, um, but yeah, I knew Tina Landon, and my early dance clubbing, you know, um, and yeah, but so because I knew Tina, uh, 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 well, I'm in high school, but my sisters played bingo with her mother. My A couple of my sisters are big bingo goers, like that's all they do on earth, and at least they used to. And um, Tina Landon's mom used to also go to bingo with them. I knew when she passed away and all that stuff. Um, but there was Tina, and because I knew Tina, I was able to tell Renee when I spoke to him, I know Tina. And we had this phone conversation because of the job I worked at that time was a communications company. And we answered for thousands and thousands of clients of all types, celebrities, everyday Joe Blow, businesses, doctors, lawyers, didn't matter. Just if you had a phone, we were your people. And Janet's dentist, um, Renee had called on his line one night. I was working, or one afternoon, and I feel like I was working night shift then. It was at night. It was at night. It was at night. And when he said his name, when I had to get his name to take the message for the doctor, he said Renee Elizondo. And I said, the Renee Elizondo? Like, Renee Elizondo? Like, you know. And then I put him through some questions to be sure this was the dude. And sure enough, it was. And then I began to tell him, you know, my relationship with Tina. And, you know, big fan of Janet and blah, 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 blah. But the night that I spoke to him, Janet was shooting the video for If. And I said, If what? Because he'd already told me. I said, what's her single? You know, when he had told me that her next album was going to be coming out soon, I said, what's the first single going to be? He said, That's the Way Love Goes. So, and then he said, actually, as I'm speaking to you right now, she's actually shooting a video for the second single, which is called, or one of the, I don't know if he said second single or one of the singles. But he states she's actually shooting a video now for If. I go, If what? He goes, just If. So that's the message. That's the information I had to go and tell into the land to all of humanity, so that they would know this encounter really took place. And you know, this is before Twitter and internet and all this bullshit, you know. So I went telling everybody on earth that would hear me, random people even, I would say, Janet's next single, her first single is going to be That's the Way Love Goes. It's going to be That's the Way Love Goes. It's going to be That's the Way Love Goes. I told it on the mountain, wallahi, I told it on the mountain. And so fast forward, now it's her concert, and I'm at the Forum in Los Angeles, or in Inglewood, and we already have great seats, because I'm not going to a venue if I don't have great seats. Like, that's just, I'm not doing it. You feel me? So if I went someplace, I had great seats. Know that always. Otherwise, there's no need for me to go. I could just stay at home, you know. But we had great seats already. But there was Renee in his olive green Italian suit, very tailored. He looked so handsome and distinguished, because he had a look about him that once you saw him, whether it was on TV or anywhere else. You're like, that's the dude. And so we're like, that's Renee. So I was in full Rhythm Nation regalia. You know, my hair was in a ponytail. I had on the Rhythm Nation 1814 hat. I had on my medallion. I think my medallion is hanging on my door right now, y'all. Wait. Hold up. Oh my God, I can't with me. There it is. Janet Jackson, Rhythm Nation, 1814. It's a medallion. You see? And it's leather, you know, because it's held up over these years. And you see it says 1814 in the center. Wow. Only reason I was able to put my hand right on it, because every place I've ever lived in my life, anything I wear around my neck, I usually hang it on my door of my bedroom. I tell you guys, I'm consistent in my life. And I prescribe consistency for my people. From the biggest thing to the smallest thing, it will serve you. So here I could just go and put my hand. I could just go and put my hand on it right now. And I've had it forever. But I had this on. I had on all black, of course, and my boots. I was Rhythm Nation. And Renee, when I saw him, I said, Renee, what's up? Well, everybody was saying hello, you know, that recognized him. And he was actually out, you know, making himself available to the fans, you know, and going around and saying hello to people and thank you for coming, and just doing his little thing, you know. And so, of course, what made me stand out is go, Renee. And I said my name. I said, remember, I spoke to you, Dr. Horowitz. We spoke. And I said my name again. I said, remember, I told you to Tina Landon? And I reminded him of a whole encounter we had. He totally remembered. And so now his attention was just on us. It was me and my fiance at the time, and my one of my ex-girlfriends. And he was saying, you know, are you guys on fire for Janet? I said, man, we are. So we can't wait to see Janet. We can't wait. And it was just like that whole conversation. And then at one point he just said, you know, do you guys have tickets? I go, of course we have tickets, or we wouldn't be here, you know. We can't wait to see the show. He goes, let me see your tickets. And then so he took my ex-girlfriend's ticket, and then he took my fiance's ticket and he said, "Let me see your ticket." And as if there was something, and he was looking at them, and then he goes into his pocket and he pulls us out 3 front row tickets, homie. My hand to Allah. I could have fainted then. I should have. And this is the same concert because I saw Janet more than once, but this is the one that she sang "Let's Wait a While" to me. And there we had front row tickets. And I don't know what he did with our tickets. He probably took them and gave them to people that didn't have tickets at all. And when we got inside the forum and we're waiting now, house lights are still on, and the place is filled up, and Renee comes out to us, came to me and said, "Hey," said my name. He said, "I'm sorry I couldn't get you any closer." I'm like, "Are you kidding me, man? We're in the front row, So I needed to tell that story because of when we get into the second hour of the show, of when they're talking in the second hour and all the stuff that went on with Renee. But I want to stay in the first. I want to take this by the first 2 hours and the second 2 hours. Probably won't be successful, but I'm gonna try. So back to her and Michael in the hotel room, and I tell you guys, it did. It doesn't matter that Michael Jackson was the most famous human being ever recorded in human history. I am so much like that dude. I can't even tell you. Forget he's Michael. Just, he was somebody else. I'm telling you, me and that dude are so much alike. And I knew that. I learned that back in the day when I used to impersonate him professionally, you know, we have a lot in common. It's, we have a lot in common, and our paths have come very close. I told you guys one of the things I did back in the days when I was impersonating him was at that time he had a legal firm. The guy's name was Anthony Barish, and it was his birthday, and so the law firm had hired a Michael Jackson impersonator to come in and perform. It was me, and it was in Culver City out in Los Angeles. In fact, their law firm is on the same property as the Bruce Willis Die Hard building. That's the day I saw it, and I go, "That's the fucking Die Hard building. That's where they shot this." But after I performed, they took me up into the offices, and they took a lot of pictures of me with Pepsi. I saw pictures of Michael on the wall, and they assured me he would definitely see these pictures. And there's that. Then my ex that I'm telling you that was at the concert with me and my fiance, she's the biggest Michael Jackson fan that ever lived. And we knew she would eventually meet Michael. And that happened many years before Michael died. She had become friends with Michael, and now she had a son, and her son just go to Neverland all the time. I swear by Allah. And so again, these separations. Then when I met her mother, you know, this was between Control and Rhythm Nation. And I said, but we went to the Havenhurst house, and we were the only ones there. It was me and my cousin, one of my cousins, my cousin David, his girlfriend, and my girlfriend at the time. And when it was in early noon, like 12:31ish, and we're standing out there, like idiots, because it's a very quiet street, nothing's going on. So like, why you just feel like an idiot just standing there until the gates open and the security walks out. Then somebody's either coming in or going out. In this case, somebody was coming out. This black Mercedes pulls out. The windows come down on the passenger side, and there's Katherine Jackson at the wheel. That's the day I got her autograph. I'm not going to get up and get that now, even though I know exactly where it's at. But it's going to be, I've got myself kind of crunched in right here, so I can't get to it. But and now, after the documentary, I know that girl who was in the passenger seat was either Janet's niece, Brandy, or this other girl that she named that looks like her. And they show that I think it's Tito's daughter or Marlon's daughter or something like that. Um, because there was a girl, because behind the tent we couldn't really. It was like, is that Janet? Is that Janet? And the window came down. We could see the girl was not Janet, but I didn't know. We didn't know who she was. And now I still feel bad to this day because we had no interaction with her. We only spoke to Catherine. um, we may have said a gratuitous hello, but that might have been it because it was just all about Catherine. And when she was coming out, she said she was going down the street to Gelson's Market, but she would stop for us when she came back. So we were like totally grateful for that, and they drove off, and we stood out there waiting. And then now when they're coming back, the security comes out, the gates open, the security comes out. It's like, you guys have to go across the street. I'm like, no, Catherine said she was going to talk to us when she came. He was like, you have to go across the street, you know. So we saw her Mercedes coming up the street, man. And she pulled in. Now her driver's side is to us. And she rolled down the window. And she let security know it's okay, they can come. And thankfully my grandmother was still living then, because I got a chance to tell my grandmother, I said, Gram, she's just like you. Y'all are the same person. She's just, I can't watch Katherine Jackson. Even in the documentary, when they showed her, I couldn't see Katherine Jackson. I could only see my grandmother. I'm telling you, they were the same woman, physically, spiritually, everything. That's my grandmother. That's her. That's her. That's her. It's her, man. It's her, dude. Like, that's my grandmother. But everybody was trying to talk to her when she came back that day. And we were standing outside their Havenhurst house. And then what I do remember asking her, I said, what's Janet going to do next? And sounding just like my grandmother, she said, baby, Janet don't know what she want to do. It was so like, in an instant like that, like from the moment she first came out when they were leaving, like that, I didn't feel Katherine Jackson. I felt my grandmother. It was my grandmother. And then certainly when she came back and we got a chance to really interact with her, and wow, you know. And she also signed her name Katherine Jackson. Why is that important to mention? Because Michael, it was important to him to write Michael Jackson. You get a celebrity's, I've gotten many celebrities' autograph. And nowadays, if you get an autograph, you may get an initial or some scribble bullshit that you can't really even prove to nobody that that's even theirs, you know. But knowledge converging, I always tell you about. So I had learned that early on when Michael, early on in his fame, one of his earliest managers or publicists, I think she was a manager. She'd say, why do you sign Michael Jackson? Why don't you just, do something, an initial or something? He goes, because they want my name. That's what the fans want, And so, but that again, that when I thought about Katherine, I thought, because she signed her full name, Katherine Jackson, and I've kept it in pristine condition since that day. And maybe someday it's gonna be worse. I would never sell it though, because this is a family, a black dynasty of any stripe. I'm just highlighting that they're black, but they reign over anybody else, quite frankly. Nobody can stand next to the Jacksons. They've tried with the Osmonds and, there's been some other people I can't remember, but they're all failed. That's why I don't need to remember them. Nobody does. I don't need to. Because there is no first family of music except for the Jacksons. That's it. There is no one else. No one else. No one else. No one else. It even made me sick when I heard Lisa Marie Presley say, when being asked why she was attracted to Michael, what made them get together. He was like, at least somebody who was at least as big or bigger than me, and like dead ass. You're not big, bitch. I don't know a single thing you've done other than be Elvis's daughter. That's it. And marry Michael Jackson. There's nothing else I have on the resume. Nothing. Anyway, so to have this autograph from the matriarch, that's pretty much probably even better than having Michael Jackson's autograph, because that's his mama. She gave birth to him. You understand? She gave birth to him. So to come back now, because I had to do these degrees of separation between me and Michael. Even the belt that I bought when I was putting together my bad outfit, the main belt with the hoops on it, we bought it in the same place. I only know that because the day I went to buy it, I did exactly what Michael did. I didn't know that until the dude that worked there told me. My cousin David usually would go in someplace if I was dressed as Michael, just because if I need to go someplace and I'm dressed as him, then I don't want to. I learned from being mobbed, don't do that, because you don't think of yourself as the person. You just think of yourself as done up until you get to the client or whatever venue you're performing. You don't, in those first days, I'll say days, my first couple gigs, I wasn't thinking like, oh, I'm Michael Jackson. I'm the dude doing Michael Jackson. I'm going to do a thing. So this time that I got out of the limousine to take a picture on his star, I was mobbed. It didn't occur to me till all of it was over. Oh, here I am trying to be the dude, but not thinking people are going to think I'm the dude. Do you understand? Hopefully that makes sense. But anyways, that was crazy. But my cousin would go in. David was a big dude, and actually, I don't think David went in. I think me and David went in together, quite frankly. And there was nobody in there except for me and him. And I was looking for this belt. I looked at everything that I need. I was still putting together the bed outfit for myself. And one of the things I knew I needed was this belt. And so I just figured, well, go to Hollywood where the punk rockers go, and maybe I should be able to find a belt there. And I went to a lot of punk rock stores, dude, on Hollywood Boulevard, and just couldn't find. I found some other stuff, but just couldn't find it. And in this store, I went in, and I'm looking around and perusing. I find the belt. I go to the counter, and he goes, "You got to be kidding me! This is all you're getting?" I go, "Yeah, that's like all I need." And plus, the stuff is expensive because it's real leather and it's the craftsmanship of it. Like when you see these punk rockers, they got some money on. He goes, "This is all you're getting." I go, "Yeah, that's it." He goes, "I have to tell you this." He said, "Michael Jackson bought this same belt here." I go, "You gotta be kidding me." And he proceeded to tell me. He said, "It's so weird." He said, "Because the day he came in, he said this big guy came in. I know who he's talking about, the guy that wears the black circus hat. I never can call his name. He's been with Michael. He was with Michael for many years. If you've seen pictures or any video, you're gonna see that dude, big, stocky black dude with this black circus ring, like circus dude hat on. And that guy came in first, and then he went out, and then two people came back in. It was the dude and this other dude with like an afro and some like 60s, 70s like rose-colored glasses and a mustache and some buck teeth, and he perused around, and he was thinking like, is the dude here to steal something? It's just like he just didn't know, but he was keeping an eye on him, and he only got that belt. And when he came to the counter, The guy rang it up and he told him the total, and the person put their American Express down on the counter and it said Michael Joseph Jackson. He said, then Michael went like this. And he said, once I saw his eyes, that was it. And I knew how he meant it. It was just like, I can't believe, like, of all the damn stores, and there was other ones that I still had to go to see if they had this fucking belt. I end up in the exact same store, under the exact same conditions as Michael himself, to buy the same belt. Remember, I'm 20 miles from where Michael grew up. I'm Chicago. He's Gary, Indiana. Our fathers had the same personalities. Like when they talk about Joseph being this, ooh, it's Joseph, and that's just white people. You understand? Because they think they know everything about everything, quite frankly, and they definitely think they know everything about black people, and they do not. But my father was that same dude. Okay, Joe worked in the steel mill. My father was a musician, but alas, my father, when he wasn't on the road touring, even when he was home, he wasn't home. You know, like, they didn't come from a time where it was all mushy and I love you and all that stuff. It was just like they provide for you, you know you're loved, they discipline you when you need to be disciplined, and that's kind of, you know, and they pass information on and stuff. It's just different, you know. So I've never had any problem with Joseph Jackson, you know. And, you know, my own father was strict. My whole upbringing was stricter than theirs even. But again, we have big families. There's 9 of them, 9 of us. And none of us are in jail. None of us have criminal records. None of us are on drugs or on booze or any of the stuff that you see. And they could say the same thing, you know. But white people will bitch when there's not a father, and then when there is a father, they demonize them. So you want the father, you don't want the father. I mean, we're not understanding, you know. But anyways, this moment of them in the hotel room, me and Janet, again, I saw myself because it was the same as y'all. I told you when I saw This Is It. I didn't see This Is It in the theater. My friend Gwen, her sister, brought the DVD to Jackie's or to Gwen's house, and we watched it in their den. It was me and Gwen and her 2 teenage daughters and her sister, and I feel like Gwen's boyfriend and somebody else was there. But we all were in the den of their house to watch This Is It on the DVD. I never saw it. And at one point in the film, they're rehearsing Smooth Criminal. And there's some little sizzle piece that Michael won't see. There's no visual cue to give him. And so the choreographer, dude, Ortega, Danny Peter, something Ortega, says, Michael, now you're not going to be able to see a cue on that. How are you going to know your cue? And before he said it, I said, he has to feel that. And 2 seconds later, Michael goes, I have to feel that. And everybody turned around and looked at me, gasping. And I went, what? He has to feel it. Because I'm someone who performs from that place. Everything's about feeling for me, especially when it comes to entertainment and music. Feeling matters so much. I can't even tell you. That's all another clinician. But I'm just trying to express the sameness of our being, you know, as much as I can, and then try to give you examples of how real that is. You know, this was just another one, like, because I know me, I have to feel that. Even if it's something I see, I start to feel it. Everything I do, I gotta feel it. I must feel it. You know, I used to go to karaoke and people, you know, I can sing well, and they go, oh, sing this song. I go, I can't sing anything I don't feel. Or if I don't mean or believe. I don't care. I can't. Just because you want to hear it, I can't sing a song. I can't even enjoy singing a song that I don't believe or feel. That's just natural to me. So there they were in the hotel room. And I could have just been sitting there, you know. He's so much like me. It's just uncanny for me, man. You know, like when he was talking about his words to Scream, and at one point they were gonna say ejects as because the final cut was as jacked as it sounds, the whole system sucks. But it was going to be as bad as it sounds, the whole system is fucked. They beeped it even. Because that's how pissed off he was. That was going to be the original lyric. When they were just sitting in the hotel room, he was telling Janet what lyrics he had written for his portion. She hadn't written her lyrics yet. And so he was telling her, he said, but when you come in, he goes, people are going to be waiting for that. Like how I approach entertainment, how I feel about it, how passionate I get, what I know, and the little details and stuff. That's what I saw. I would have said those same things. Wallahi, I'm going to have to watch that again just so I can watch just that again. I can't tell you this, y'all. I mean, it's one of those things I guess you have to be me to know, but I'm just trying to express to you what's real for me, you know? And I recognize that I had a lot in common with this dude. Like, I only ever wanted to meet him so I could say, don't you do such and such, and don't you do such and such because of such and such because, so we could just have an I know, right? I always dreamed that. Our whole time together would be, I know, right? I know, right? I know, right? But he was telling you, when you come in on your part, you got to make it real. You got to have a lot of passion. It's got to be a lot of fire. You got to come in, Janet, because he's letting her know people are going to be waiting for that, you know? And he said, and use that voice you use on Black Cat. I was like, I know, right? That's so what I want to say. I couldn't even do it, dude. Like, and now I can appreciate how she came with hers by knowing this backstory, because Janet was moving her cursor out of the way. When I was in Atlanta when I first heard Scream, I was managing this indoor outdoor bar and grill, and I was in the kitchen yakking it up with some of the employees, and the song came on the radio, and I couldn't hear Janet. And then over the next days or something like that, then another version started coming out where you could hear Janet better, you know. And now we know she did absolutely take his advice, because right after he says the whole system sucks, damn it, doom ka-doom ka-doom ka-doom, peek in the shadow, come into the light, and she hit it with that voice too. You tell me I'm wrong, but then he was like, come with fire, and you know, in the video she's doing, then you better prove you're right, and doing all this and the shit and the shit. She really came with it, you know. Like, we know he was able to articulate to her, communicate to her what she should be, what it should be, and she was able to deliver on that. So that said something about a few things for me that I loved. And then we learned that when they shot the video, his record company wanted a thing up so that she couldn't see. Because remember, there's competition between the record companies, you know. She even talked about how it changed, the feeling between them changed. Michael used to come into her room all the time, and they would just talk. And then, but after Thriller, it just kind of, nah. And she just knew it was different between them now. I could feel that so much, y'all, because I promise you, everybody in my life, I literally sat one time, this was a few years ago, literally everyone in my life has betrayed me. Every single individual. I couldn't think of nobody who had not, you know, except for my grandma. But I could feel that when she said that. And then now, knowing that, add to that, being on the set to do Scream, and she's felt so bad. She said it really hurt me because here I'm thinking I'm coming to show solidarity with him, and show our unity, and I'm there for my brother, and this is the treatment I get, you know, and but it wasn't really from him. It was from the record companies. Because remember, she's at Virgin, and she signed the biggest recording deal in the history of ever. And then a few weeks later, Michael had to do something so he could be the biggest, and he signed something. But before that, Janet had signed the Virgin thing, and it was the biggest deal ever in the history of ever. And so they kept it business as far as the handlers and stuff. But I still kind of blame Michael, Raheem of Allah. I still blame him because you're still the biggest human being on planet Earth. Give a fuck what a record company is going to say. You say, no, take that shit down. My sister should support me. Woo, whatever you got to do. And that's the situation. That he didn't do that is a little salty for me. Just I have to keep it 100 at all times of my life. And so this will be no different. I think that's Dusty, Yeah, I can't with that. I can't. I see how, and then I also loved when, like I said, the first 2 hours was really nothing, y'all. There was nothing really earth-shattering, really throughout the whole piece. Yeah, they tried to build it up with the whole, reciting the rumor of, did Janet have some secret baby? Which she did. It's my child, which I already told you all about that. You already know that, so that's nothing. But the public don't know that. You feel me? So I'm letting y'all know. You know what I'm saying? We know that behind the scenes type. But they tried to milk that. That was a rumor that came and went. You know. I knew there was no truth to it because Janet Jackson, A, she's my wife, and B, I know her mother. Her mother, just like my grandmama, they're the same woman. They are twins, I tell you. Especially my grandmother putting makeup on and getting things done up and put her best wig on and stuff like that. Like that is Catherine Jackson. Same glasses, everything is Catherine Joe. She's just like my grandmother. Even when tonight, when in one of the pieces, she was, I didn't think Janet was gonna have no kids. Just the way she does her head and her way she looks when she talks. That's my grandmother. I'm telling you, I can't see nothing else. She's just like her. It's really something, dude. And the most important person in Michael Jackson's life was his mother. Most important person in my life till eternity was my grandmother. Again, that sameness that we had, But I know, business or no business with the music industry, Janet Jackson has a character. She has character. It's one of the reasons why she's my wife. And there would have been a whole different thing she would have done if she had had a child. Do you understand? It would have been totally different. First of all, she would have stopped any and all career at the time because she hadn't signed the big deal with Virgin. So she wasn't under any contract or anything. Control was finished. And no. They eloped before Control. Just Janet would have been a mother. Do you understand? And she wouldn't have been pursuing this whole. Her reaction would have been totally different. Period. The end. And she wouldn't have denied a child, but that child would not have been seen because at the time Michael was big and the whole thing. And just, I mean, just not like I have a child and you can't see him, you know. And it just would have been a whole. They just used that as more filler for the show, you know, for the television program. It bored me, you know. Even when they cut the trailer, and even during the actual airing, the way they cut it before they went to commercial was so that so you think it's going to be some answer that, you know, and I knew it wasn't that. Give me a break, you know. I hate when television does that anyway. But, no, there is no secret child. I'm over it. But they tried to use that. And, then there was a couple of lies that she told. Because it goes to, you know, at the beginning when she was saying, you know, and they showed some clips of different videos or different interviews that she did where they have to ask her something about Michael. They have to ask her something about Michael. Tell us about Michael. Is Michael sleeping in an oxygen chamber? Is Michael this? Is Michael that? I get it. And she gets sized sometime. So that was the case with this documentary. I know my wife, y'all. So she lied. The first lie was when she said, well, I didn't want them to even put my last name on the album because I wanted to just do it on my own merit. Okay, that's a lie, Janet. With all respect, my queen. Because, bitch, we've known you since you were 7. Your image is everywhere. And you have been on television by now. And before your first album, you've been on television. Before even your first album, before Get to Control. You'd already been on Good Times. And you've been on Different Strokes. And you had been on Fame, playing Cleo Hewitt. Let us understand. So, quit with this. I didn't want to put my name on the album. Because were they not going to put your picture on the album too? Because as soon as we saw it, we were going to know that's Janet. So, just not believing you. But you're not supposed to notice these things, you see. Nothing gets past the Jedi. Very little. So that was the first lie. The second lie she told. Again, I guess trying to just add something for the fans. So I don't say it was a malicious lie, but lying is lying to me. And so the next lie she told was she said, you know, I had a dream the night before I was opening my store. This when she was opening up her Rhythm Nation tour in Miami, which that's not where the bitch opened up. She opened up in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. That's where she opened up. It wasn't Miami. But if you watch this documentary, you think she opened in Miami. That's not what happened. She opened in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. It was all over MTV. I remember like it was yesterday, even though I was 3. And and that name never left my ears, Chapel Hill. Because they were showing clips, because we were pressed to see anything we could see, pressed. And one of the clips they showed on MTV was she was saying, Chapel Hill! I said, Chapel Hill! So, I don't know where Miami came in at, but your boy has a long memory. Understand this. And we're talking about my wife here, so I don't play games. Understand that. So, but that wasn't the other lie. The other lie she told was she was saying she had this dream the night before she was opening her tour. Allegedly in Miami. She had a dream that only 3 people were clapping when she finished the first number, that nobody had showed up except for 3 people. That's not a lie. That's a dream. We're going to allow whatever she wants to say was in the dream. Well, that's fine. I love dreams. But here's where the lie comes in. She goes, and the next day, we were driving down the highway, and I saw all these cars with their lights, and I thought, where are all those people going? They were on their way to your concert, bitch, and you already had the records, you already had the concert sales and the money in your bank account before anybody showed up to the venue, because remember, we all bought tickets. So while those people in Miami were going, my little skinny bitch ass had already had a fucking ticket for the Great Western Forum in Los Angeles. So let's be clear about these things. You understand what I'm saying? It's Janet Jackson, y'all, but these things matter to me. You know, if you don't want me to scrutinize it, don't put it out there. You feel me? That's just what it is. Don't want me to see it, don't pull it out. That's how I feel about it. And this was that. It was an unnecessary thing to say. Even just, I can understand you being nervous that your tour wouldn't sell well or something like that, but it's already sold. Still remains to this day the biggest debut tour by an artist ever in the history of ever. She still holds that record. Jimmy Jam was sharing those statistics in the piece. I knew that already. But you don't need to go that far. Like, you didn't even know the cars, where those cars were going. If somebody bought a ticket, they're going to show up to the show. And even if they don't show up to the show, you already paid. That's why you sell tickets. You understand? Like, it wasn't like, well, I hope they show up. Like, your parents are going to show up to a recital and shit that's free. And you look in the audience when you got your little nasty ass up on stage, and you don't see them in the audience or something. You feel me? So it was unnecessary, and I have to call it. Nobody else is going to say that. I don't care who else reviews this documentary. No one else is going to say that unless they watch me. So make sure you watch the timestamp or the date stamp. And so they didn't really give us the behind the scenes that I thought I was going to see. It really lacked. It really failed to take advantage of the 4 hours, because what I was one of the things I was expecting to see was some of the behind the scenes stuff. Show me, okay, I've already seen the making of If, so maybe show me, because I think MTV or VH1 or somebody did that. So now show me Janet showing up to If, or show me what would have really been rare, if they want to talk about rare, never before seen, all the bullshit. Show me now the behind the scenes of getting ready for that first American Music Awards performance when she did Control. Anything from that, the choreography, like some rehearsal, something from that. Show us that. Show us any of the rehearsals for the Grammys that she followed the performance up with. I wanted to see stuff like that. I wanted to see, maybe some other stuff from videos we hadn't seen, and it seemed like they didn't really know what direction to go in. They just thought it was going to be Janet, because she says she's telling stuff. Because one thing about Janet too is she'll do something that's like nothing to us, but to her, she thinks it's a big thing, and it's going to be received as a big thing. I noticed that about her over the years. So you saw an example of this even in the documentary, where she was going to do Rope Burn as part of the show, and Tina said, she called me and she didn't want to say the words, like, I liked Rope Burn, but it wasn't where she tried to put it, as far as I'm concerned. It really wasn't. Like, Madonna did shit that was worse. Like, you didn't do nothing. This was PG. Like, there was literally old ladies and old men sitting in the audience. It was nothing. And with their kids, they weren't kids. So it just was a little overhyped. She does that. It's one of the things that I noticed about her. She even over-explained the If video. I get the concept of what the video was, what she's trying to say, but if you hear her explain it, it's just way more than what comes out. It's just like, come on. Just maybe you shouldn't talk about it. You should just let us just see it, or let somebody else speak about it or something, Yeah, a little annoying with me with her, I think this was that. It failed to fill up the full 4 hours. We saw not one single picture or a video of her with the brothers. We saw some television stuff that's public, video. Like, show us something that's not, show us something else, man. Show us something else. Not saying it wasn't good. It just didn't do anything. It didn't do anything. It didn't do anything. Those first 2 hours were like waiting for something that didn't happen, you know, and the pregnancy thing, you know. Um, I feel like also in the first half is when they showed. Oh, by the way, Control is the album that set it off for you. Nothing on Control. We saw her in some clips of her in working with Jimmy and Terry doing Rhythm Nation, you know, and what the original lyrics were going to be and how she was going to sing it. Thank God they worked through that song, because it would not have been the song that it is. Even though she was singing the melody, it was a different melody, it was a different song, y'all. Go back and watch it now. It was a different song. It didn't have the same imprint at all. It was like My Heart Will Go On or something. It was just like, nah. So thank God somebody recognized that they need to work her lyrics out and really work the song through and come up with a sound for the song, and they made it happen. But if they hadn't, it would have been a disaster, because the words were powerful, but how she was singing them was not. I can't remember how she did it now. With music by our side. No, I'm doing too much. That's too good. With music by our side to break the color lines. Let's work together. It was so like, nah, not what we got. You see me? And I love stuff like that. I love behind the scenes of anything. How did this come to be? I love that. This is my genre, y'all. That's why I'm so hard on it. Like, it didn't give me anything. It didn't say anything. Because I am here for all things behind the scenes of anything since I was very young. I want to know, how do you do that? How'd that happen? What was the backstory? That's where the good stuff is. It always is. And never disappoints. So, here you have Control. You gave us not a single shot of you in the booth singing a single song from Control. Not Pleasure Principle, not When I Think of You, not Control, not Nasty, not What Have You Done For Me Lately. Nothing. We just hear Control in the back, like, ooh, Control, but then we don't see anything. We didn't even see a single performance of Control other than the video version of it that was not even talking about that. It was in a different context. It was Paula Abdul saying, yeah, she just need to get on that stage and own it, and she was talking about her performance value and selling her performance, not specifically Control itself. And I just think it was a big oversight to not have highlighted the Control project, which is what set it off, yeah, I feel like they showed at least one scene of her on Fame as Cleo Hewitt. Contextually, that was all fine, but we didn't need a clip of Fame that is there for anybody to go and search something. We need like an on the set, behind the scenes camera of you on the set of Fame or something like that, or you having a moment with Leroy or something, or Debbie Allen or something. It just didn't deliver, y'all. It just didn't. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you it was the bomb just because it was my wife. That's still my wife, and I will fight you. And she does no wrong, and I'm the only one that can say this stuff about her. You feel me? But I've got to tell it. I've got to tell it. I've got to tell it. It just didn't deliver. They showed early on some pictures of her and Renee frolicking on the beach outside of our beach house, which I'm still pissed off about that, because that means he was laid up in my crib. But yeah, I can't. There just was nothing in that first 2 hours. I do I think that was in the second hour when she talked about her father. I do appreciate this because it was in both that first and second hour. I love how her and Randy both were clear to say, to keep giving the credit to their father. I appreciate that. I also love that she also shared with us that Jackson Street in Gary was not renamed for them. It was always Jackson Street. Like, it was just one of those things, fluke of life, that they just happened to live on a street called Jackson and that was their fucking last name. But why wouldn't it be? Because you go back to that time, and what, Michael's born in 1958 or something like this, and so this is all still post-slavery. We only have the name Jackson because of some white devil. We don't have any Jacksons anywhere in Africa. Any of the 54 countries, we don't have any Jacksons. We don't have it. You understand? Or most of your last names, we don't have it in Africa. We don't have it. But so that was a detail we didn't know. But as I say, I do appreciate that they kept saying and really driving it home that they don't feel no animus about their father. That was by, you could, they didn't say those words, but I'm saying, but everything else they were saying was saying that, and they were saying physically out of their mouth that they would be nowhere without Joseph Jackson. That he is the reason why they have everything and anything, and I appreciated that. I loved that, and it kept coming up. They kept saying it. I was like, yeah, that's right. Give him his props, because I've done full pieces for you over the years showing you how they try to villainize any black man who has, well, in general, but certainly if you have an asset of a child or children. They did the same thing with Venus and Serena's father. They always want to separate the commodity, from the parent so they can own it. And Joe wasn't having it. He held on a lot longer than they actually wanted him to. Do you understand? So props to the brother for that. The Whisper. I'm gonna have to do 2 segments because I just got a feeling this thing's gonna cut me off. Yeah. The biggest thing that came out of this whole thing, y'all, the thing they went the most sort of even really in depth on was the Renee thing. He was shitty. But we also learned that he had problems too, Tina Landon actually said that we learned that he had a pain pill situation. That was the exact quote. She said we learned that he had a pain pill situation. That's, to me, that's separate and apart from your character, because whatever your pain pill situation is, that doesn't equal you cheat on fucking Janet Jackson. Listen, I never understand, because even Jermaine Dupri said it in the piece, that essentially what ended their relationship was, from Janet's side of it, it was just that he was never there because he works all the time. And she was like, if you can't make any time for me, just like some kind of time for me, they would go literally weeks and weeks without seeing each other. And, but Jermaine Dupri said it. He goes, I guess I was just out being, a man. No, fuck you. You were being a fucking bitch. Don't ever put that shit on men, because real men stay with their woman and we don't fucking cheat. You understand? So don't ever assign bad behavior to being a man, bitch. I'll be the first one to crack your fucking teeth. The first one. And it just set me off so bad. It infuriated me immediately. Because, first of all, fuck you for cheating at all. And B, if you don't want to be in a relationship, just don't fucking be in a relationship. Just state that shit up front. I'm not interested in a relationship. I just want to smash. Because you are a bitch. And so you can't accept if a woman says, I ain't trying to just smash you and be on her way. So you're trying to have the cookie and the fucking cookie doing all the shit at the same time. It pisses me off on so many levels. And how do you, what fucking pussy are you seeking in life with a fucking gold cape coming out of it? What do you need? I never understand that. I, I just don't understand. So I'm not gonna let Renee use or anybody else use any uh uh dependency or some shit he's got going on for his bad fucking behavior. Cause last time I checked, you gotta have an erection to be intimate with a woman, and so for that to happen, there has to be desire, and so that means you had desire for some other bitch. You understand? And you cheated on fucking Janet Jackson, dude. There can never be forgiveness, ever, ever, ever. Can't forgive you. Can't do it. Cause thankfully, I've always been a man without an ego. I don't need anything to prop me up or make me feel greater than I am and shit. I never had any. I don't need that shit. And this is in that same category as far as I'm concerned. I've always been a one-woman man. Period. If I'm with you, I'm not interested in no other bitch. Just not interested. Not interested. Not interested. Not interested. Not even Janet Jackson. And proof of this is because my fiance thought I was going to trip when we went to the concert. But I already told her and my ex-girlfriend, don't fucking make this a bad day for me. Like, I'm not dating Janet Jackson. She doesn't know me. We're not going to know each other, and I'm not going to date her, and I'm already with you and fucking engaged to you and shit. So back the fuck back and let me have my day. And they didn't get in my way, and they let me have my entire life. You understand? And I appreciated that. But I'm just trying to say that I don't know what type of human being you have to be, or what type of male, because we're not going to call it a man, what type of male you have to be. What do you need that you are with arguably one of the most beautiful, one of the most public women of beauty, because there's a lot of women out there that look way better than Janet and a whole bunch of other people, but we don't know them. They're not famous, and they stun wherever they walk. So I'm careful to say of women that we know who are popular and famous and shit, you with like the creme de la creme, Janet Jackson. What other bitch could step to you and for what? And Jermaine Dupri says, well, it's a turn on for women. Like if a woman see you with Janet, somehow they want to holler at you even more. I have shut bitches down and have no problem with it because I don't bring scandal to my life in any form. And I definitely don't bring betrayal and distrust to my life. And deception and cheating and shit and immaturity. I've always been this way. So I didn't just arrive here. I've always been this way because if you have principles, those principles are consistent across all avenues of your life. They just are. So this is no different. Why would you be off? I just don't understand. Not to say Jen is the perfect woman. Because somebody can be a superstar, but they're really difficult to date, man. Like, dude, if you dated her, you would not like her, type thing, So I get that can happen. So diagnose that and move the fuck on. But you don't get to cling to Janet Jackson or anybody else, And some women and men just aren't good at relationships. In these cases with Janet, I don't think it was Janet who was the problem. And I'll offer an argument for that. James DeBarge, who also was on drugs and had issues, showed a type. Because James DeBarge and Renee Elizondo kind of look like the same person. And then the dude that she's got the baby by, the Arab dude, they're kind of in that same swirly, the hair and the shit. So when Jermaine Dupri was the only one that she kind of stepped outside of it, was like, oh, that's the dude, Regina talked about how thick the thing was between her and Tupac on the set of Poetic Justice. That's just lore right now as far as I'm concerned, because we don't have Tupac here to offer anything, so I don't know, whatever. But I can say Tupac would be eligible for Janet Jackson, just on looks, even if she didn't think he was her type, or something like that, whatever. But and vice versa, obviously Janet, but you want to get with Janet, whatever. So just whatever. But I think Janet is not the problem in these relationships. Obviously, she wasn't the problem in Jermaine's world because he wasn't even famous when they met. He sang in the documentary, like, and even if he had been, Janet was like on the fucking mountaintop, and he was somewhere in the lowly valley where nobody could find him behind an anthill. Nobody could see him. So she was bigger than you, but you couldn't make time for her. She's bigger than you, and she's making time for you. How does that make sense? She's an international icon, and she's making time for your little bitch ass. And you can't make time for your woman? Fuck you, Jermaine. And the bitch that gave birth to you. You understand? It's just, I can't. So we throw him off the table. James was the problem because he couldn't get it together with his dependency. Like I said, and I had an uncle who I didn't know until after he died. And did I understand him? And I then forgave him in death and stuff like that. So I'm not really here to, bash him for his, but it was known that all the DeBarge family was on fucking cocaine and all the shit. Like, that was a known thing. And, but still, well, I guess really it's the way that Janet tells it. It really was the drugs that really had kind of overtaken that relationship. So yeah, it was the drugs. And then Renee got to be Mr. Control Freak. And suddenly he thought he was Martin Scorsese or, somebody, because he wants to film everything. And I think he's just kind of setting himself up for his own fame of some success of some kind on the back of my wife. And which I don't really think you need to do that, because if you're talented and you're trying to get something on, your woman will support you in that if you're just upfront and honest. Not understanding. But Janet strikes me as the type of person like this, everybody. I feel like she's like me. She loves love, but not that sappy shit that y'all hear and think about when somebody says, I love love and I love being in love. Fuck all of that. You don't even know what love is. I've told you that. Love for her, I think, is what it is for me. Real devotion and dedication and interest to you. Like, I'm really, like, no bullshit. Like, true human connection right here. It would take at least 5 hours to describe that. I'm not being funny. I really mean that. But I'm trying to give you, because I tell you, love is not a four-letter word. It's not something that's just, you don't fall into it and you go find it. Love is very organic. It's very organic. You don't find it and you don't fall into it. Love takes time. Like a seed coming out of the sidewalk. You didn't even know it was growing there. And you see a little bud and go, there's something growing over there. That's love. That's what it's more like. You understand? So Janet is a very tender woman. I love her femininity, She's a sensual woman. I love sensuality. Like, I feel like, again, I'm hypothesizing on all this because obviously I've not made love to Janet Jackson, but I'm telling you, in my observation, I feel like Janet is that type of woman who she would appreciate a man like me, who lovemaking begins before the act. Lovemaking can be in the morning. After we've already gotten out of bed, I'm already starting to make love to you. Do you understand? It's a whole rhythm to the dance. A prelude to the dance is what I want. It's everything. So if you work, if you're my woman, you wouldn't work. But if you work, that means me calling you on your job. You know, saying little things to you, you know. And maybe I call one time too many on purpose, you know, but in a way that doesn't upset you, but that makes you feel special, you understand? And maybe I come and get you for lunch, and we're going to have lunch, and I feed lunch to you. It's a whole prelude. Everybody wants to get in bed, and boom, 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 we're done, and that's it. Real sensuality and romance and erotica takes place. It's innuendo, it's hint, it's a glance, it's a stroke. There's so many ways that you can make love to a woman, and I feel like Janet is the type of woman that understands that concept. That's why she was doing the nipple piercings. She was like, I'm just doing things because they make me feel good. I know what that means. I think I do, you know. But, and if I don't, I'm not far off base. But she's a sensual woman, dude. I mean, women like that are, you gotta take your time, you know. And when you get to actual physical lovemaking, you need to talk, express. She wants to be taken to a place that's vulnerable and mysterious all at the same time. You know, you're her same partner. It's a few things. It comes from the soul, so I can only do so much to explain it to you, because it is from the soul that you should make love or have intimacy, you know. And then your actions are different. I know she's that type of woman in my mind. She must be. She must be. And she smells like peaches and cream with honey. Oh. She's that type of woman who loves her own femininity. It's like this, is set on fire by her own femininity. It's a whole thing. You gotta understand some things to know what I'm talking about. But she wasn't gonna get it out of these little tic-tac heads, you know. And perhaps that also explains why she was with James DeBarge, and why she was with Renee Elizondo, and then with the Arab dude, and you know, because those men aren't all this bullshit. They are tender and delicate in their own way, without it being gay. You understand? And that's why you have to understand, men, that all that bark up shit, you're never gonna find your mate, because you're not putting out an authentic vibration. You're not, unless you're a pit bull. That's something else. I could do that video, but I think that this that I'm just describing equals her choices that we saw in men. Do you understand what I'm telling you? That's why she wasn't with Tyrone or, you know, somebody, because she just had a predestination in her mind, because she don't know the Jedi's out here, that those men come with that, and that even to be tender is not seen as cool. So I'm not gonna look through the force for that. Let me get men who they got the little tender hair and the skin and the bullshit. Like James DeBarge their whole family's pretty, and Renee Elizondo's a pretty boy. You know that. You hear his voice. He doesn't talk like this. Renee he has like a mid-tone or some bullshit. It's not like overly masculine and shit, you know. And there's a lot of women out there that appreciate that. It goes to what I've said a million times. Men have to learn how to fucking be tender. You just gotta learn to be tender. Damn. It's like you want to, like, certain things require certain instruments, you know. What's that shit they use the jackhammer for in the street to tear up the fucking pavement or whatever it is? You don't use a nail file to do that. You don't. So now you want to handle a woman who is tender and delicate, and you're Godzilla. You're probably more tender with a fucking raw egg than you are with your woman. That's a shame. I don't want to get into that. Stay on the documentary Jedi. Stop lecturing. But I'm just trying to say that since my pick is laying here, I just have to look and see my pick. I've been looking over there a few times and I didn't see my pick, but there it is. Yeah, Janet's looking for a tender lover, devoted, loyal, tender lover who really gets her, who's not wooed by fame and ooh, you're Janet, you know. That's one of the things that made Jermaine. He could have been in the pocket, but you're a dumb bitch. You're not a man. Because you're defining manhood by your penis and conquerings with it. That you're immediately not a man. You're exactly the opposite of a man. Because men have control of their impulses and their urges. And men are dedicated to one woman at a fucking time, bitch. Done. You're not a man. Period. So there's that. But they stayed on the Renee thing more than anything, you know, and I appreciate that Janet eventually was just like, I can't do this shit no more. Like, I'm just done. I always appreciate when any woman does that because I never understood it, whether it's male or female. I don't understand no relationships where you just can't let the fucking person go. I don't give a fuck how long I've known you. You do some shit that's really just like against my grain and off my fucking moral chart. Done. It's like I never knew you. Kuchush. Done. Because I'm not coming back to this life. I have one life to live. There's no do-overs. Oh, wait, I'm going to go back and get that 10 years, right? Let me do that. No, bitch, you're aging. You're in time. You understand? So, I don't understand these people that hold on. And then they also have the wrong definition of what they think love is. So they think they're in something called love. It's a vicious cycle, dude. I can't. Yeah, again, they didn't, you know, Rhythm Nation was big, and while they did her in the booth doing some of the lyrics and that little fight between her and Jimmy and Terry, like kind of a spat. They tried to over dramatize that, but it didn't have enough range to it, so it was really nothing. You know, it almost looked staged, really. You know, and now looking back, it probably was staged because we know that Renee was always staging things when she went there and surprised her mother. She's still having her moment with Catherine. And you say, sit down on the couch next to her, Janet, like some little fucking yappy puppy. She's having a moment with her mother. Sat your bitch ass down, nigga. And then later, when they're at the table, he says, give her a kiss on the cheek. Because she goes, Renee, everything is, it's going to look too staged, Renee. Everything is going to be that way. And then Tina giving testimony about how he got on her fucking last nerve. So we know it was Renee that was filming in the studio that night. Because at one point, Janet goes, she goes, no, Renee, I'm sick of this. That's who was filming it. So he probably just set that up. It was staged. It didn't really happen. And then they end up using it in this piece. That's what happened. That's what happened. Because Jimmy and Terry and Janet are like this, everybody. She loves them to death. And they love her. Their synergy was one of those moments in life where lightning strikes in a bottle and you catch it. That happens in life. And you gotta know when this happened, and you don't think you can overdo that. Stick to that shit. Whatever it is. When you catch lightning, stay with that. You know? And this was that. You know, they were the perfect producers for her. At the right time, with the right everything. Control. And everything from that, you know. Yeah, that's the universe converging on your behalf. The look, the everything, the image, all of it was so synergy. The music, the sound, the everything. That's magic happening. That's the universe converging for you. That is magic. And so that little spat in the studio was staged. I proclaim. They're still trying to get mileage out of this, which surprisingly put this in because it was supposed to be Randy and Janet that produced this. But then there was all this list of white devils after it was over, and then there was other white devils that were interviewing them during the piece. So not really sure who was producing. Did they just want production in their resume or some shit? Because I didn't. They seem like subjects of the piece and not producers, you know. And that's backed up, I think, by some of the subject matter, you know, because there was no need to go to revisit the fucking nipple shit at the Super Bowl. Only white people do that, and they're the only ones that were interested or even upset about that. Nobody else on the earth was. Every human on earth understood that was an accident. We knew Janet Jackson's character since she was 7 or some shit. This is not a woman who she's at the top of her career. They're lucky to have her at the Super Bowl. She doesn't need to do a fucking Madonna stunt for any damn fan. They knew that. But the only poison on the earth is these people. And wherever they exist, there are problems. They are the worst thing on earth. And the problems of all strife for all of humanity. And this is just another example of that. There was no need to rehash that. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. But what we did learn, at least I did, because some timing matters. I didn't know or remember that at the time that happened, Michael was already having the trial for the trial was happening. I didn't know that was the same time. For some reason, I thought the Super Bowl was. I don't know when I thought that was, because I didn't care. And but it showed more savagery from this white devil because it was trying to snag her up while the brother is on trial. You know, and that's why there was the overreaction. Oh, we have to cancel Janet Jackson. And she was uninvited from the Oscars the next day and the Grammys, and you can't. And it was just this white fucking evil ass collusion and shit. Don't get me started, dude. Don't get me started. Don't fucking get me started. But, and then that Justin Timberlake's White Devil ass even reached out to her. What is that? Oh, Randy read some. He said his people are reaching out to you to possibly do the Super Bowl again, you know. And again, they shouldn't even discussed it, because then the way Janet put it was as if they were just best friends and it's all good and we're going to be friends at the end of time, the bullshit. Because that's not what I remember her doing on some. She has kind of like let it sit out there like it's a problem and he know he did wrong and yeah, he going like somebody needs to see him type thing. Like, I don't imagine this is what happened. But now here you are in the documentary and we're friends and we're always going to be best friends. And what? Bitch, what? Don't you know these white devils turn on your bitch ass in a heartstring like that? You'd never take them as friends ever because they have the devil. Anyway, I'm just gonna move past that because I'm just over it all because I just feel like it goes bigger than Janet, because there he was performing at the fucking Soul Train or somebody's Lady of Soul or somebody awards. Yeah, he should never been invited after what he did to Janet. He should never be embraced by black people. Period. I even saw, speaking of being embraced, I think it was this fucking K-pop group of little Korean women that all the girls were screaming for that came in to meet Janet at something. And I just thought, we've already been through Milli Vanilli already. That is another Milli Vanilli act, everybody, and they changed them out like they change out Menudo, so you don't know when it's changed. And it's just like this young group that never fucking ages, and you're like, wait, because I aged another 20 years. How come y'all ass look the same? Because they're not the same fucking people. And that's what these little fucking Koreans are doing. And they don't speak English, so they can't fucking sing English. Give me a break. There they were on Jimmy Fallon. And because I tell you, I watch television. Don't put it in front of me if you don't want it scrutinized. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just tell me, you can't see this, Jedi. You can't. That's fine. But there they were. No, they were on Jimmy Fallon, and they were on the Carpool Karaoke dude, James something. Well, I notice when they're in an award show, the fucking blonde one who wants to be black stands at the mic, and that's who the reporter's already been told, only ask this motherfucker questions, apparently, because it's happened all the time. I don't know a single song, but I know who the fuck they are, and I'm telling you what I know to be true. He's the one. Then they finally start saying he's a translator. Okay, what's translating if you just did like 50 songs in fucking English? What's there to translate? Oh, because you're not singing. You don't sing. And you don't sing in English. Then they're on character. He's sitting right at the desk where Jimmy Fallon is, and the other ones are like in 80 chairs because there's 80 of them in the fucking group. And he's doing all the talking. And they don't know how to even respond to stuff. When Jimmy makes a joke, they don't know if it's funny, don't know what to do, and they laughing when they think it might be appropriate when it's not. And you know, the one in they asked him, so what are you trying to do here in America? He goes, I shoot America. He was trying to say take pictures, shoot a picture, but he's such a dumb bitch and a dumb fuck and a fucking he doesn't know. So he's like, I shoot America, but this is the motherfuckers these girls are screaming for. Why don't I have 8 Grammys sitting behind me right now? Please somebody tell me. I mean, he punched for this. I can do it without it, but I can't. It can't be done. I'm like, are you serious? But the pièce de résistance, the coup de grace, there they were in carpool karaoke, and now they're in a fucking bus van because there's 80 of them. And I can watch. Go watch it on YouTube. Go watch. Just watch James Corden? Carpool Karaoke and whoever these guys' names are. And just watch them. They don't know their own lyrics. They don't know their own lyrics. And of course, the translator dude is sitting right in the front seat, right next to James Corden. But there they were meeting my wife. I'm over it. Fuck these little fuckers, man. I'm so over it, dude. And they all look like fucking women. Like, the level of non-entertainment value today is so, it's beneath my fucking pinky toe, dude. There's nothing happening in entertainment. Nobody's a star. Nobody's anything. There's nothing going on. That's why when I'm in the car, all I do is listen to my own fucking CDs of shit I have fucking burned and put on a disc. I never listen to the radio. I never listen to any of that shit because there's nobody out there doing anything, including fucking Beyonce. I haven't liked that bitch since Dangerously in Love. She hasn't put out anything since then. Nothing. Nothing. Unless Freakum Dress wasn't on that album, because I do like that song. And I Was Here, and, you know, but she hasn't done anything but be a mystery witch and shit. Like, I can't. Yeah, nothing happening. Janet Jackson is a real superstar. A real superstar, do you understand? Not a manufactured thing. And there's a big difference. And you're looking at someone who's broken records, has really, I mean, soared to the highest of heights in the entertainment industry. And something else that came out in the documentary is that she actually beat Thriller by having the most top 10 singles from an album, or top 5 singles, something in that range that made it better than Thriller. Like, you know, obviously it's not better than Thriller, but just saying, just like, statistically, she broke a Thriller record, you know. And then I love also, and I related to this because I told you guys my father was an icicle and he was very don't talk to. And, you know, my father came home, we was just kind of like, we're glad he's home, but you kind of feared him, like, we don't know what to say to him, he doesn't know what to say to us, and you just kind of avoid him, avoid. But I changed all of that, you know, with my father. And I'm so proud to say, I'm grateful to Allah, that my father and I were like best friends many years before he passed. you know, that Allah had given us that relationship, you know. It's a beautiful thing, and I was almost to tears with her when she was saying, you know, she got a chance to tell her father, thank you, you know. I know what that is. I'm telling you, that's the other thing. I told you, me and Janet had the same life, and that's been one of my draws to her. Like her music is always right with my life, like, and um, and this was no different. You know, she was saying how she was so glad she got a chance to tell her father, thank you, you know, and before he even got sick with cancer and all that, like, she got a chance to tell him, like, so he know. I mean, she's not just telling him this because he's, you know, in his decline or anything like that. And I had that same thing with my father, who also died from cancer, by the way. But I got a chance to, for me and my dad, to to have a really beautiful relationship before my father passed, many years before my father passed, up until his passing, you know. And it's so rewarding, you know. Um, I really related to that. You know, I felt that. I know how she feels. I know that. I know that. I know it. I know it. I know it. And we must remember too that, you know, Joseph was dealing with a little bit of dementia. You know, he was up there in age. Remember, Reeby's ass is like 70 something. If you a father, you having issues. So he wasn't really all there towards the very end, you know. So let's understand this, you know, when Wendy was making fun of him having a kiosk in a mall and shit. And by the way, I told you guys that bitch was going down and she would be over. It has come to pass. The Jedi knows things when she speaks. Um, I'm not going to talk about her in this piece because I'm already long, and I really want to keep this exclusive to my wife. Um, and you see why I didn't do it. Well, it was best that I didn't do a live stream because I would have all this to say plus your comments too, and us talking about it. That's an all day thing, you know. Like we can still talk about Janet in a live stream and this documentary, but at least I will have gotten most of my stuff out to you, and then we can just talk about what you want to talk about the documentary, you know, or something like that. Because otherwise we'd be here for I don't know how long I've been here right now. Because I'm just recording it on my software from my PC, so I don't have any timer or anything. You know? It just didn't deliver, y'all. It was good to see Janet in some regards. They said over a 5-year period, so which one was which because she's got the top bun and she's slimmer, and then she's got the Springer Spootle hair and she's bigger. Which one are we? Which one's more current? I'm not understanding. It's always good to see my wife. You know, I'm tough on her, but it's always good to see her. You know, I feel like she is in a place now of just what I was touching on earlier. You know, if Janet's gonna be married now, it's like you just gotta be that dude, man. That's just here to be tender to your woman. She don't need anything from you because she gave you gonna present. She probably owns it. So you have to be very innovative, you know, and talented, but you can still love a woman like Janet Jackson because that's all she needs now. It's just that. It's part of loving is understanding, you know, and getting a person. That's all part of this long list that stretches 5 times around the earth of shit that makes up this thing called love. And I think they could have did this in an hour, you know. They didn't really need the 4 hours. I don't know what Lifetime was paying for this. Um, you know, it's another get for them, um, which I don't really appreciate because we don't fucking own Lifetime or any, so I don't appreciate that. But it just didn't have anything that was like, oh my god, this is like people aren't going to be talking about this. The most people will say they'll bring it up so they can complain together about how it wasn't really anything. That will be why people will bring it up to each other. But They won't bring it up like, I know you saw Janet Jackson. I know you saw the documentary. It won't be like, oh, we can't wait to talk about it because it was so good. It'll be like, did you see that bullshit? And like, I want everybody else to know that I think it was some bullshit. That find my other people who think it was some bullshit. That's what it's gonna be. Because it wasn't bad. It just wasn't. There was nothing there. You know. For all the hype that it's Janet Jackson in her own words. She's finally speaking. It's her own documentary. This felt like a documentary done by somebody else, yet again, telling her story. We didn't see a single nephew or niece or cousin. We didn't see any of the brothers. We saw Tito was up there speaking, and then there was Rebe and Manola Toya. We saw the mother. There was like, they got a huge family. There was nobody else there. There was a lot of things that just weren't there, man. And it just wasn't there. It just wasn't there. It just wasn't there. It just wasn't there. You know, say more on the what they did towards the end. You know, with the Hall of Fame type thing. You know, okay, that was good. Like, okay, because I like stats and figures and stuff, and how you made history. That matters. But then the documentary. Didn't need to see the speech because the speech is available for all to see. Show us behind the scenes of the speech. What came out of that was just that Questlove had gotten onto the Hall of Fame board so that he could fucking induct people that he thought had been disrespected. You know, that's a story. Not Janet really get you say the way it just missed a lot of notes for me, y'all. There's a lot of things that could have just been in a documentary, a 4-hour documentary. It's a lot more that could have been there. We didn't even see the school you went to. It's your documentary. Show your school. Show you at your school. You know, with some of your old teachers and shit. Like, they want to see, you know, I remember Janet when not some of the people already seen over the years that were part of the stock footage and shit. Like some obscure teachers that are still alive, and, you know, you go back to your school or something like that, man. You know, you're out at a grocery store. We don't see you at a grocery store doing anything. Everything's just sort of voiceover and images of not the right stuff. You know, like I said, we should have had some some time spent on how Control came to be. You know, had it not been for a couple of my friends actually being at the taping, I didn't know that crowd was casted for the Control video. That's not a real crowd. They're casted, and they did many takes and all that kind of stuff. It's not a huge crowd. But two dudes that used to dance with me later, that I found out because they were there, and that's how I found that out. But anyway, that's the type of stuff. Show that. Show what it was like when Control was first being released. Where were you at? If you have footage of that and stuff like that. Obviously, Renee has been there since Nasty, so we should have. I mean, we just didn't have. It just didn't. It just didn't have it, y'all. It just didn't have it. I can't tell you all the things what we're missing, but there was. I'm trying. Shit was missing. You understand? It just wasn't there. It just wasn't there. It just didn't have it. Jada, if you're watching this, I know you get that. Or any of you guys that saw my show reviews, because I just had a flashback for that. I really meant what I just said, but I'm saying I know that sounded like something I did in my show review. Just didn't have it. Just didn't have it. Just didn't have it. It just didn't have it. So, without me saying that another 50 times, let me just ask you this in closing. If you saw the documentary, first of all, and if you saw it, did you feel like there was anything groundbreaking that came out of it? That was really, even though it wasn't groundbreaking, because even the thing with Renee wasn't groundbreaking, but it was noteworthy to know that, because that was all stuff we didn't know. Stay on that track with everything else. Don't rehash stuff we already know. We know already. But the Renee thing, we didn't know anything about. We knew they had parted and that there was animus, and she's, you know, there was issues, but now we know why. We know the full thing. They told the full story of that, with testimonials from people that were on the scene And we saw footage of Renee himself, with sitting up there with his lawyer and all of that. And so that was very like, yeah, if you're gonna tell this part, then that's how you do it. But don't show you in the studio with Jimmy and Terry, and you're doing. By the way, she was doing that song I did for y'all one night in one of my live streams. As a child, I missed out on the love I never had. I lost my breath. Daddy, he was distant, never there to hold my hand. You need me, just admit you need me. Yeah, because when in the clip it goes dun 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 dun, and then Jimmy's like, give us the shit. So, but yeah, so you showed that. That's from Rhythm Nation. It's called "You Need Me." It was on the B side of "Miss You Much," but you don't give us control. You don't even give us Rhythm Nation. No interviews with Anthony Thomas, who brought the groundbreaking choreography for Rhythm Nation. Okay, Paula was there and Tina was there, but not really in the context of a choreographers. Paula was there like she feels like I feel like she's my sister. But it wasn't like how was it to teach her and tell me the first routine you taught her, and even with Tina, like we don't need like I knew she danced with Janet. I already knew Tina, and then poof, she shows up in the "What Have You Done For Me Lately" video, and it was all over town. It was like, oh, that's the chick. Oh my God, we know her. And then later, I had a private moment with Tina because her family owns a dance studio. My friend Bill's sister, Tina, used to teach them some of the Janet Jackson choreography. And this was I think this was around the time at the time I was living with Vanity. Um, I went to their dance studio and nobody was there except for Tina. And I walked in. I was like, I can't believe you're standing here. And we had a long conversation about fame and success and entertainment and things like that. Go into that. We've all of us that are fans, we know you and Tina are close, but say how y'all met and all these things. You don't. I mean, there was nothing here, everybody. And for all it was produced by her and Randy, we saw very little of Randy. Randy's not really a big talker, never has been. He's that one to sit back and he's testifying in his own mind of what you're saying. He's not really the talker. Just hasn't been ever, you know. It was good to see Randy, but where was Marlon and Jackie and Jermaine and Tito? Just even to make an appearance or something, some behind the scenes on them or something. This is your documentary, Janet. What were you trying to say? Did it have a point of view or was it just a general documentary? Either way, either one of those you select, this failed at that. It didn't have a point of view, so then you failed. And then if it did have a point of view, we didn't get it. Not a documentary. There's just some filming by Janet Jackson at random times that we don't have any context for, unless you're a serious fan on some of it. And other stuff you just kind of have to infer, and there's no answers or addressing a lot of other stuff. I mean, that's my wife to the end. I love Janet Jackson because we have the same life. That's what turned me to her to begin with her music. I didn't know it was even her. I heard Control. I don't know when I heard it. I don't know. It could have been old when I heard it. I don't know. I don't care. But whenever I heard that song, the beat got me. I felt it. So you turn it up. Do, 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 do. When I was 17, I did what people told me. And I'm here in my life. And I told you guys the story about that, my whole 17 thing, and the New York to Chicago and the whole thing. Somebody was singing my life. That's all I knew. That's my actual life somebody is saying right there. That's not a song for me. And at the end, they go, that's Janet Jackson. I was like, Janet Jackson, the fuck? I didn't care if it was Mother Teresa. I had to have that song. And so I went and bought the whole album. And from that day to this, every song is my life. We have the same life. We must. We must. We must. We must, dude. We must. We must. So it was the music that got me, and the lyrics, you know. And later, obviously, Janet Jackson is a very stunning woman, you know. My grandmother, we sit and watch her videos. She goes, "That is one beautiful child. That is one beautiful." She shows me, and you know, obviously, her beauty is not lost on me. And she's just, I love Janet Jackson. I love her. You know, I'm a dancer and choreographer because of her. You know, um, she's part of the reason why I found my own voice to sing. You know, I had to find myself. I didn't know. I mean, I performed, you know, my family put on shows growing up and stuff like that, but I wasn't seriously singing. Like, to find my voice and be able to give it, I had to find that. And she's one of the people that I credit for me finding my voice. I credit Michael for me being able to teach myself to sing out. Sing out. You know, then I had to learn style and things like that and find my instrument. But she's on that list. You know, she's right there at the top. And nobody was a big, because I'm such a passionate person about, you know, the condition of our people and all those things like that. And why I was sent to the earth. So obviously something like Rhythm Nation definitely resonated with me. Like that, that's everything. You know, those interludes, you know, the homeless problem, you know, and just all the interludes between the songs themselves. It was like it came out of me or something, you know. It was so tangible to me. It wasn't just like, oh, that's a song. Nah, that's my fucking anthem right there, you know. So it was all of it. It was all of it. It was all of it. I just love her, and I'm really rooting for her. And that she didn't show the baby. She didn't show Issa, even though there's pictures of him that we have. So why didn't you show Issa at all in the fucking piece? And now he's 5 years old. Why don't we see Issa? Why? Again, nothing. Everybody. It was a lot of hype, and it didn't live up to the hype. Yeah. Don't say something is big when it's not. You feel me? Don't do that. If it ain't big, just say it ain't big. If it's big, don't say it's big. That way you shock their ass. You feel me? Um, I'm crawling away from your shit. You understand? But yeah, it had a certain cachet and a pedigree because it was Janet Jackson, and so people will be reluctant to bitch about it on some level. I'm not reluctant. It was some bullshit. It just was. 4 hours. You want to tell me it was 2 hours? Then I wouldn't. Maybe I wouldn't need to be so hard on it. But 4 hours, bitch. Four. Okay, all the commercials were a half hour each. That's something else. It just, nah. She needs to do another one. Or somebody else needs to do one on her. Which is the very thing, this was supposed to be anti-that. You know, she was like, somebody else telling my story, it's I might tell my own story, you know. Janet loves major proclamations like that, you know, like she's really giving it, and it doesn't live up to the hype. She'll do something, little tweak to something. She goes, I want to just completely change the show and go in a different direction. She changed one thing. I heard that's going in a different direction. I'm telling you, I've noticed this about her for many years. Like, this is consistent with her. It's consistent, dude. It's me telling my own story. It's something that just has to get done. Like, ooh, I mean, they cut it real good because they know how to sell a show. Everything that was slightly interesting was in the fucking trailer clips. Everything else fell flat and failed. Every bit of it. What time is it? I don't know what time I started, but it's time for me to quit. If I'm gonna be live with you guys, because you're probably watching this today, tomorrow. Like, it's still Saturday for me. You probably watching this on Sunday. So let me shut my own ass down right now. So if I'm gonna be live with you on Sunday, then I need to shut it down now. Like I say, we can bring this up in the live conversation, everybody. I'm more intending to be live with my people on Jedi Africa. I may be aggressive since I haven't spoken at all this year. And I don't remember the last time I spoke last year. Maybe I'll do both. I'll do a live stream over on Jedi Africa and then do a live stream on this channel also. Yeah, if I get my ass up off here now and get this out, then I'll have the energy for that. Tomorrow's Sunday. Yeah, if I get off now, I can still sleep in a little bit and feel like I've got some sleep in type thing, and then just kind of get it started kind of a little earlier tomorrow than I normally otherwise would. Yeah, but I wanted to. I'm gonna be live tomorrow, inshallah. But again, like I say, I haven't presented myself to you at all this year, everybody, and I just couldn't see January ending, and I haven't spoken, or made contact with my people. Sometimes it's better to keep your head down because I'm getting more shit done, and I don't want to hex anything. Just seem like when I talk about things just in life, it don't go the way I want it to go. So I'm being mindful of that energy and being careful with my words and statements because sometimes the universe can conspire against you, and that's how I feel right now. But I'll talk about that. But right now, I'm going to go, and like I said, God willing, I'm going to be live with you on tomorrow, which is Sunday I'm confused. Tomorrow is Sunday the 30th. Because my phone says Saturday, January 29th right now. So, Sunday the 30th of January, 2020. Yeah, I leave it there. So I love you guys all, and I'm looking forward to us having conversation and discussion on the morrow. This is Jedi.